Eric Schmidt was born in Washington, D.C. in 1955. Schmidt began as the first software manager at Sun Microsystems in 1983. He moved through various companies before becoming CEO for Google in 2001. As of 2014, his net worth was $9.2 billion. Eric Schmidt is an accomplished technologist, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. As Google's chief executive officer, he pioneered Google's transformation from a Silicon Valley startup to a global leader in technology. He served as Google's chief executive officer and chairman from 2001 to 2011, executive chairman from 2011 to 2018, and most recently as technical advisor from 2018 to 2020. Under his leadership, Google dramatically scaled its infrastructure and diversified its product offerings while maintaining a strong culture of innovation. Before his career at Google, Eric held leadership roles at Novell and Sun Microsystems, Incorporated. Eric has received numerous accolades and supports a variety of esteemed organizations. He was a member of the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology and served as the founding chairman of the Department of Defense's Innovation Board for 4 years, in which he was awarded the Medal for Distinguished Public Service by Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter. He was also a member of NASA's National Space Council User Advisory Group for 2 years, which was chaired by the Vice President. He currently serves on the boards of the Broad Institute, the Mayo Clinic, on the advisory board at UC Berkeley, and is a member of the Cornell Tech Board of Overseers. He is currently the chairman of the U.S. National Security Commission for Artificial Intelligence. An accomplished author, he has co-authored 3 New York Times bestsellers: The New Digital Age, How Google Works, $1 Trillion Coach. He is a Gulfstream pilot, and his philanthropic efforts through the Schmidt Family Foundation and Schmidt Ocean Institute focus on climate change, including the support of ocean and marine life studies at sea, as well as education and cutting-edge research and technology in the natural sciences and engineering space. Inspired to continue to give back, he co-founded Schmidt Futures in 2017, which bets early on exceptional people making the world better, applying science and technology thoughtfully, and bringing people together across fields. In 2019, Eric and his wife Wendy announced a new $1 billion philanthropic commitment to identify and support talent across disciplines and around the globe. As part of this effort, Schmidt Futures, in partnership with the Rhodes Trust, launched RISE, the Anchor initiative focused on increasing opportunity for extraordinary young people worldwide and empowering them to serve their communities. Most recently, Eric and Schmidt Futures were selected by New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to lead the state's 16-member Blue Ribbon Commission, which will employ lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic to improve and modernize state systems for the future. In August 2020, Elric launched a podcast, Reimagine with Elric Schmidt, a podcast series of conversations with leaders in government, business, science, and technology to explore how society can solve current challenges and build a brighter future after the global coronavirus pandemic. Elric holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Princeton University as well as a master's degree and PhD in computer science from the University of California, Berkeley. If you look at the history of technology over a couple of hundred years, it's all about time compression and making the globe smaller. It's had positive effects, all the ones that we know. So we're much less likely to have the kind of terrible misunderstandings that led to World War I, for example. Your car should drive itself. It's amazing to me that we let humans drive cars. It's a bug that cars were invented before computers. Since I have access to every crisis in the world because it's always blaring at me on cable television, that doesn't mean I have to worry about every one of them. This is also known as knowing where the off button is. Half of Google's revenue comes from selling text-based ads that are placed near search results and are related to the topic of the search. Another half of its revenues come from licensing its search technology to companies like Yahoo. The internet is the first thing that humanity has built that humanity doesn't understand. The largest experiment in anarchy that we have ever had. If you think about YouTube, YouTube is a searching the world's videos problem, right? They all have to be there, but how do you find them? What I guess I'm trying to say is that search is still the killer app. A lot of the Google inventions came from engineers just screwing around with ideas. And then management would see them, and we'd say, boy, that's interesting. Let's add some more engineers. I've never met a person who does not want a safer world, better medical care and education for their children, and peace with their neighbors. I just don't meet those people. What I meet, over and over again, as I travel around, is that the essential human condition is optimistic, in every one of these places. Remember, when you go to YouTube, you search. When you go to Google, you search. As we get the search integrated between YouTube and Google, which we're working on, it will drive a lot of traffic into both places. So the trick, overall, is generating more searches, more uses of Google. There is a science to managing high-tech businesses, and it needs to be respected. One of them is that in technology businesses, leadership is temporary. It's constantly recycling. So the asset has a limited lifetime. The rise of Google, the rise of Facebook, the rise of Apple, I think are proof that there is a place for computer science as something that solves problems that people face every day. The characteristic of great innovators and great companies is they see a space that others do not. They don't just listen to what people tell them, they invent something new, something that you didn't know you needed, but the moment you see it, you say, I must have it. I still believe that sitting down and reading a book is the best way to learn something. In general in technology, if you own a platform that's valuable, you can monetize it. People are surprised to find out that an awful lot of people think that they're idiots. I had a rule that I had to go to bed before the sun came up. So I used to look up the sunrise times because I thought it would be bad karma to be going to bed as dawn was arriving. Google was founded to get information to everybody. A byproduct of that strategy is that we invented an advertising business which has provided great economics that allows us to build the servers, hire the employees, create value. YouTube's traffic continues to grow very quickly. Video is something that we think is going to be embedded everywhere. And it makes sense, from Google's perspective, to be the operator of the largest site that contains all that video. You have to fight for your privacy or you lose it. If you have something that you don't want anyone to know, maybe you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. The coach doesn't have to play the sport as well as you do. They have to watch you and get you to be your best. I actually think most people don't want Google to answer their questions. They want Google to tell them what they should be doing next. I don't believe society understands what happens when everything is available, knowable and recorded by everyone all the time. The internet is really about highly specialized information, highly specialized targeting. Facial recognition, completely unmonitored, can be used for very bad things. It can be used for stalking, for example. The average American doesn't realize how much of the laws are written by lobbyists. The more broadband we can get globally, the better. It's better for the world, it's better for our advertisers, it's better for Google. There's nothing that cannot be found through some search engine or on the internet somewhere. Washington is an incumbent protection machine. Technology is fundamentally disruptive. I do want to emphasize that we've seen an explosion in the use of Google Maps and Google Earth for education. The Earth is a special place. It is our home and it's why we're all here. And the ability to see what's really going on the Earth, the good stuff and the bad stuff, at the level that you can, is phenomenal. The funny thing about advertising is that it's not a zero-sum game. Historically, in the digital ad world, pie has gotten larger and it's possible for everyone to win, and it's perfectly possible that will continue to be true for quite some time. In whatever number of years I have on Earth, I think that promoting the values of free expression, the openness of the internet, that's the best use of my time. I've come to a view that humans will continue to do what we do well, and that computers will continue to do what they do very well, and the two will coexist, but in different spaces. We used to think that the enterprise was the hardest customer to satisfy, but we were wrong. It turns out, consumers are harder than the enterprise because the consumer will not give you a second chance. We want to make sure the thing you're looking for is on Google 100% of the time. I think it's pretty clear that the internet as a whole has not had a strong notion of identity. And identity means, who am I? Fundamentally, what Facebook has done has built a way to figure out who people are. The thing that people seem to miss about not just Google, but also our competitors, Yahoo, eBay and so forth, is that there's an awful lot of communities that have never been served by traditional media. When you use Google, do you get more than one answer? Of course you do. Well, that's a bug. We have more bugs per second in the world. We should be able to give you the right answer just once. We should know what you meant. People are building communities of people who use video. They're sharing them. YouTube's traffic continues to grow very quickly. The computing world is very good at things that we are not. It is very good at memory. When the internet publicity began, I remember being struck by how much the world was not the way we thought it was, that there was infinite variation in how people viewed the world. Google is more than a business. Google is a belief system. And we believe passionately in the open internet model. I used to say that you'll have 10 IP address on your body. And it looks like that's going to happen through medical monitoring. The issues of wireless versus wireline gets very messy. And that's really an FCC issue, not a Google issue. And the more broadband we can get globally, the better. It's better for the world, it's better for our advertisers, it's better for Google. Fast learners win. Google is very much a not invented here, build it ourselves culture. I think I could argue that the press has more impact on politics than corporations. there's a set of people who are intrinsic oppositionists to everything Google does. One of the unintended negative consequences of online advertising has been the loss of value in traditional classifieds. It's simply quicker, simply easier for an end user who's online, on a broadband connection, to look things up and to figure out what they want to buy. We know that Google Earth and Google Maps have had a tremendous impact on Google traffic, users, brand, adoption, and advertisers. We also know Google News, for example, which we don't monetize, has had a tremendous impact on searches and on query quality. We know those people search more, because we've measured it. I think to some degree one of the strengths of the high-tech industry is that people are actually willing to tell you things. When I went to Novell, I didn't know how to be a CEO, so I went in and I called all sorts of CEOs I knew. I called in a favor. I wanted to come by and listen to them tell me what it's like to be a CEO. People who bet against the internet, who think that somehow this change is just a generational shift, miss that it is a fundamental reorganizing of the power of the end user. The internet brings tremendous tools to the end user, and that end user is going to use them. Washington, having spent a lot of time there, I grew up there and have spent a lot of time there recently, is largely defined by detailed analytical views and policy choices that are not very good. You know, each policy choice has a winner and a loser, right? Somebody's ox is getting gored. Even though Google may do very well, there will always be an alternative to what Google is doing, and people will always have the free choice. Because there's no way for us to prevent them from exercising that choice. That is one of the key aspects of why the internet has been so successful. No technologies can dominate. Google Docs and spreadsheets don't work if you're on an airplane. But it's a technical problem that is going to get solved. Eventually you will be able to work on a plane as if you are connected, and then when you get reconnected to the internet, your computer will just synchronize with the cloud. It's very difficult for governments to dominate the internet because it's so difficult to control. People want to be free. People want to hear multiple voices. They want to make their own decisions. And people who see things will report things. The policy of America to deny visas to technically trained people in the US and ship to other countries, where they create companies that compete with America, has to be the stupidest policy of all the US government policies. Countries that have the internet already are not going to turn it off. And so the power of freedom, The power of ideas will spread, and it will change those societies in very dramatic ways. Google's architectural model around broadband and services and so forth plays very well to the powerful devices and services Apple is doing. We're a perfect backend to the problems that they're trying to solve. I think of Google as a set of overlapping things. It's a consumer platform, consumer phenomenon of which search is its fundamental activity, but there are many other things you can do than search. I think of Google as an advertising company who services the broader advertising industry in the ways that you know. I use Google+, and I find the quality of the comments are very sophisticated because there is more trust inside of Google+ than there is inside of Twitter and Facebook, for example. If you think about the history of the PC industry has essentially been nothing but acquisitions by one company or another. Dell is the outlier. Dell built its own culture. They automated themselves to be the most efficient manufacturer. In our case, we focus on quality, and we have a very simple model. If we show fewer ads that are more targeted, those ads are worth more. So we're in this strange situation where we show a smaller number of ads and we make more money because we show better ads. And that's the secret of Google. People assume that computers will do everything that humans do. Not good. People are different from each other and they are all really different from computers. Silicon Valley's involvement with Washington dates from one event, which was John Sculley, who was the CEO of Apple, had dinner with President Clinton and Vice President Gore in 1993. And we're all going, like, what's going on? Why would we have dinner with the president? The adult way to run a business is to run it more like a country. They have disputes, yet they've actually been able to have huge trade with each other. They're not sending bombs at each other. The core problem is that the world is full of people who would like to take 99% of the information that's on the internet, and eliminate 1%. Everyone has their own thing they don't like. Amazon has well passed any expectations of its ability to change distribution and marketing. People are good at intuition, living our lives. What are computers good at? Memory. We weren't here to hope and hang on. We wanted to win.